I'm Tina Wehmeir, President and CEO of AMC Institute. Thrilled to be here with you this morning, talking about something that's, I think, uppermost in a lot of our minds, which is the changes in the association world, which then rolls down to affect the AMC community and exactly how we combat some of this and look at some of these trends that are beginning. And I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves a little bit more, just to say who they're with and size of their AMC. I've brought in some heavy hitters here because I didn't want to do this all by myself, and there's a lot more knowledge in these two than in me. We really want this to be a very interactive session, so we really look forward to you guys engaging with us, giving comments, giving feedback. We want this to be very informal, very participatory, so please feel free, interrupt, make comments, raise your hand as we're discussing some of these trends and some of the things that we're seeing and doing to try and mitigate some of these issues. There will be a takeaway at the end. We wanted this to be really casual, so we don't have a PowerPoint. We're going to just talk through some of this stuff, and like I said, welcome interaction. There is a takeaway handout at the end. Anita with our team, say hello to Anita with AMCI, is going to be passing those out as a hard copy, but we will give VSAE an electronic version that they can distribute to you all, because they do have links, and so I think it would be helpful if you had the electronic version. So that's enough for preliminary opening remarks, and I'm going to let Carrie and Jeannie talk a little bit more about themselves. I personally have been with AMC Institute for 12 years as the president and CEO, so I have a little bit of a feel for what we do, and prior to that, in many different paths that I had, I also worked for an AMC for 6 years, so I really know the landscape fairly well and love it. I think we are the model of the future. I think we've always been the model of the future, but I think we're beginning to really let people know this, and the association community know it more and more. And I know at AMCI we have a lot of efforts around that, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. So, Carrie, on to you.
Hello, good morning everybody. I'm Carrie Hartin. I work with MCI USA. I actually live up in Baltimore. MCI represents about 25 clients in a full service management AMC capacity. In addition to that work, we also deliver sales services, creative services, advisory services to a number of association clients. And so I've worked in the association space now for just over 25 years. The piece that I love most about the AMC portion of our work and our business is just the nimble approach that AMCs have to be able to meet the needs of their client and to be able to meet the needs of the talent that serves that industry. And so, I can look at other organizations that are standalone, and I just don't think that they have that same framework that they work with, where they know, hey, somebody's got to solve this, and they have to solve this today. I either have to solve it for client A or B or C or maybe all three of them. And I think the collective knowledge that comes out of AMCs is quite frankly just heads and tails above what many organizations can do on their own. So I would agree, right, in terms of model of the future. And just happy then to be here today to be able to share a little bit about what we are seeing for our clients in the AMC world and how we're helping them navigate some of the changes of the marketplace we're in today, where things happen incredibly fast. I do have a colleague in the room who leads one of our association clients, Betsy, so if you get a chance, say hello to her today. And it's just great to be able to be here in a room with other AMC professionals that are part of the great work that we do in the association space.
Great, thanks, Carrie. I'm Jeannie Sheehy. I'm Chief Marketing Officer for Bostrom, and we are a 95-year-old AMC that we're based in Chicago but have an office in DC. And I've been with the company about 22 years. I'm one of the two owners of the company, and before that I was in technology. So at Bostrom, I head up our AI Council. I do all of our corporate marketing and business development strategy, and then work on the consulting side directly with clients on their value proposition, their reasons for being, and their strategy for digital transformation. So as everyone in this room, we definitely wear a lot of different hats, and very excited to hear some of your ideas and what you all are seeing in the market too as we talk through these trends. That's about it.
So hopefully with this level of depth and representation of the AMCs, we will be able to share some things that we're certainly seeing. We don't anticipate that the 7 trends we're going to speak about are everything that's happening for the future that affects both the association market and the AMC world. But we're certainly, these have risen to the top, should we say, in the last year, 2 years, and we're seeing them escalate in this world we're currently living in. So, you know, to say the association world is in flux, I think is a great thing to toss out, because it is. And the association world is not the only world vertical that's in flux. There's many that are in flux, but we're going to talk about those and the reason that the AMC community really needs to be more agile than we've ever been. Because the association world is going through some fundamental shifts right now. You know, it's technological, generational, societal, and geopolitical, just to name a few that are just hitting the association world in rapid fire right now. So for AMCs, you know, we aren't just responding now on behalf of our association clients. It's about really redefining our value proposition out there and how we can really help these associations as all this is coming at them. So it's definitely an area of complexity for us right now, both with our clients and with our own firms, and we've got to be ready to offer solutions and try to think forward thinking. And to your point, Carrie, there's no better way to do it, because I am passionate about the AMC model. I believe we are the thought leaders out there. We have so much to bring to bear through all of the plethora of associations we manage. So who better to get in there and try and hit some of this head on? Right when these shifts started happening, AMCI's leadership really tried to think about what we could do to get out there, push the model forward, give it some traction, because we're in a world right now where we can really help some of these associations. They need us, but as an age-old issue that we know we've had is they need to know about us. They need to know who we are. They need to understand how the model works. So at AMCI about 3 years ago, we entered into a really, really big marketing push, trying to push out the model and market growth, and so that we can jump in and be able to help these associations. Jeannie leads in a marketing advisory capacity to the board a lot of these efforts that we've been doing at AMCI. So I'd like to ask you, Jeannie, to share a little bit about that journey and where we've gone and some of the outcomes we've seen in this kind of 3-year journey that we're pushing forward, just to push the model out, get the word out, so some of these associations right now dealing with all these things know we're here to help.
Yeah, there's a huge opportunity out there for AMCs. I mean, it is a time for us for growth, for people to understand who we are and what we can do for them. So 3 years ago, the chair, Mark Engel with Association Management Center, he was chair of the board of AMCI, and he said, by the year 2050, 50% of associations that can use an AMC should be managed by an AMC. He put this really big goal, audacious goal out there. And, you know, we all do our own marketing, right? We all are part of VSAE and ASAE and local chapters, the forum in Chicago. And, you know, that community, you know, pretty much knows who AMCs are, and sometimes they're threatened by them. Sometimes they don't fully understand how AMCs are very vital strategic partners for associations. So we had this big goal, 50 by 50, 50% by 2050. We probably, I don't know, 10 years ago when we did some research, was 7% of the market. Maybe we were managed, 7% of associations were managed by AMCs. That has grown. We have seen that growth. But what this marketing initiative was to get outside the current communities like ASAE that we've already been marketing to. And if we had to grow, if we had to manage 50% of associations out there by 2050, we had to tell our story much, much wider. So we took a step back and we really looked at the value proposition of what an AMC delivers. How do we articulate that? Who are we talking to? And we really segmented this digital marketing strategy into 3 different audiences. There's the influencers out there, there's the audit firms and the legal firms and tech firms and people that we partner with that kind of tell our story in a very subtle way. There's the CEOs of associations. You know, many of you may do outsourcing and consulting. That's a great way to build a relationship with an association CEO. And maybe if that CEO comes to retirement, which we did research on that said 45% of these CEOs of retirement age are going to retire, you know, we're seeing that.
And that was pre-COVID. We're sure that number is much higher now.
Yeah, exactly. Huge opportunities. So we could grow outsourcing and consulting, or at least get in the door with a board through those CEOs. So we did a focus group of the CEOs to understand what was going on in their world and how could an AMC help, and did they know about us, and what were their perceptions of us. And then we did interviews with volunteer leaders. What are the triggers? You know, do they know the AMC model? What do they think about it? Do they understand the benefits of it? What are the triggers for them to go and look for an AMC and our services? So these focus groups, from those, we built some customer journey maps. And we said, okay, so here's how they're hearing about us. Here's who the people that they talk to. Here's how they find out about an AMC. Here's the consideration path. What do they need? Do they need stories and case studies, videos? How do we really get them to consider us as a viable staffing model and to use our services? And then how do we get them to purchase it? Where can they go for more information? And we really had to do a lot of infrastructure work at AMC Institute. You know, we had to revamp the website. We had to think through, what does this digital marketing journey look like? What landing page do we take them to? Because for a long time, AMC Institute, you know, does a great job about the members, about feeding, you know, how do you run an AMC and all of the education and growth strategies for an AMC. But this was new. This is bringing association professionals and CEOs to this site. And so how do we tell those stories about the great work that AMCs are doing, the case studies, the data and outcomes that we get? So we then hired a firm called Beautiful Beast, who is a wonderful digital marketing agency that we've been working with for 2 years now, after all this research was done. So we have a digital marketing agency. They have, I mean, just high level, they've brought more than 100,000 visitors to the AMCI website. They've had 45,000 different journeys, meaning someone's gonna see an ad, they may be retargeted and see another one, they're gonna watch a video, they're gonna scroll down our landing page, they're gonna spend more than a minute on that page, they're gonna subscribe to AMCI's Insights. And that gets them, so now we have over 450 association professionals that have subscribed to AMC Institute that they're going to hear all of these great stories about the AMC model. Now, why did we do all this? Why are we spending all of this money on digital marketing? And it's not, I shouldn't say all this money, it is very, very efficiently run. And I'm very thankful to the board that they saw that this investment was worth it, because it is. We have seen that members in the AMC Institute have gone up levels. All of the AMCs are growing and have grown. There are new AMCs that are joining AMC Institute. So the market is growing. So we did this initiative. You know, we really wanted to build awareness. The metrics that we're getting are way beyond benchmarks. The things that we're doing with Google Ads and Meta, the journeys that they're taking, all of these are beating industry benchmarks, which is so, so exciting. So great, we're spreading the word, we're seeing outcomes of growth, we're seeing more and more people coming to AMC Institute to really understand, what is this AMC model, what can it do for me? So that has been highly, highly successful. But an outcome of this, a lot of the AMCs were saying, well, what's in it for me? You know, this is great, you know, and the market, okay, yeah, we're all growing, but you know, how can I leverage this? So then we had to really put some effort into, okay, we have learned we're so close to this initiative, this digital marketing initiative. We are learning so much. We are learning what are the messages that are resonating to associations. What are the things that are really grabbing them? Why are they subscribing? Why are they coming to this landing page and taking this journey? And it really came down to about 4 different themes. The most popular that people are grabbing onto is, what is an AMC? I mean, believe it or not, we have to continue to educate people and association professionals about what an AMC is. Board members change every year. All of us live that, wonderful part of our jobs. But you have to educate them over and over again. So they want to know what is it? What's the AMC model? What do we do? What can it do for them? Great. That was one thing. Workforce and talent issues, of course. They are dealing with some of the same staffing issues that we are, but even more so. And when they have 3 meeting planners leave within a period of 6 months, they need to know they can come to an AMC for their meetings. They need to know that they can come to our marketing services and use an AMC for those services. So we're seeing a lot of growth in the area of outsourcing. Financial savings, everyone is looking for that, and they're also looking for growth, non-news revenue. So these were the 4 things, the 4 messages that we have learned from, that through hundreds of ads that we have done and tested, these are the things that we're pulling out. We're also seeing that in the very first ad, video is the most compelling way to grab attention. So first ad, do video. Retargeting ad, don't do video. Make it a quick, here's a case study, here's a success story, and get them to the landing page. And then convince them to be a subscriber. So these techniques, all of this stuff that we have learned in this digital marketing effort, all of us can use. All of us should be really, really paying attention to what this initiative is doing and telling us, so we can do it ourselves. So we can take that journey and those digital marketing strategies and sell our firm's services that way. So it's been a really exciting effort. You can tell I'm very, very excited about it. I talk about it a lot. But it's just, I really want to just make sure that you understand that there's a big investment that the board did. There's a lot of learnings from it, and all of us are going to be better companies for it. We're going to learn a lot from it and be able to market ourselves better. So that's a little bit. Any questions about the marketing effort that AMC Institute has taken and the journey? I know that was a lot. Yeah.
I guess anytime you do something like this, what did you find most surprising? You kind of went in thinking, what is an AMC? You kind of get that. Was there anything surprising you found?
Yeah, I thought LinkedIn would be our biggest channel. I thought that was for sure that going to be the strongest. It's not. Google and Meta did much better than LinkedIn. Video didn't surprise me as much, but being on the first ad, that surprised me.
Sure.
And then the fact that what an AMC is,
yeah.
I was just like, really? I've been doing this for a long
Square
time.
one.
Yeah.
Best we keep coming back to that question.
Yeah.
Time and again.
Yeah, just the basics. And so it just a reminder, we all have to keep educating people over and over and over again and tell great stories. We've done a lot of work with case studies and begging people for these wonderful stories and wonderful work that we're all doing. If any of you have a story to tell, bring it on. Yeah. We'd love to hear it.
We'd love to feature your firm and tell that case story of success that you've had, because it is resonating with the association community. They are clicking on those, they want to hear them, and it's working. So we just need to keep feeding that beast.
Yep.
And letting them have more and more success stories that they can relate to.
Yeah, the one thing I'll add to that is that I do find that in our associations that we serve, and boards obviously change, that question of what is an AMC, people come back to time and time again. And I do think there are places where when you sit and live in the model, you get tired of the question a little bit. But our ability to redirect board leaders actually back to some of the AMCI Institute resources really, I think, just helps to validate the business model, to help a volunteer leader who maybe really does not understand it because it's just not common within their day-to-day work to understand what it is. And so for us, I know that we have leveraged those resources in those ways, and it's really helped to bring volunteer leadership along in a voice that is sometimes a little more neutral than maybe what they may perceive our voice to be.
True. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna delve into the 7 trends that we have identified as things that we're all experiencing, our membership is talking about constantly. These 2 AMCs are certainly dealing with, and then I'll tell a little bit about, I'll read the trend and then I'm just going to let them respond to some solutions and things that they're seeing and doing. And that's where we really love you guys to participate too. If you're doing something or you've seen something that really resonates and you're like, oh, this has been a way we've combated this issue, just share, because everybody wants to learn in here. That's why we're all here. So, one of the first ones, obviously, digital transformation is no longer incremental, it's essential. It is everything out there. I mean, it's not, oh, that would be a nice to have. It's, you need to be dabbling in it in some way, whatever way that you can at your level of your AMC. So, Carrie, why don't we start with you, and then Jeannie, you can jump in also. So what are some things you're hearing at MCI regarding digital transformation that you're experiencing and trying to, jump in. That's all right. I feel certain they can hear me.
I feel certain they can hear me too. I think there are a few things as it relates to digital transformation. I remember when digital transformation used to feel like it was just talking about publishing transformation, right? Taking a magazine from a print form into a digital form. And the reality is that digital transformation now is truly, right, how are we engaging with our community, our members, our non-members, and bringing them content and information and delivering a community that is of value to them. And so for us, I think there are a few things. We are consistently looking at the technology that is serving our clients. It used to be a mindset that you would take technology and set it in play and hope that it would carry you out for the next 5 to 10 years. And that mindset just doesn't work anymore. And so the ability for our client teams to be able to move faster when it comes to a new technology solution, something that can plug into their AMS environment, thinking through where they can remove friction in the tech stack that they are using is really important. There had been a trend for a period of time where you try to get your AMS solution to maybe be the one-stop shop to do all things. And now we're often in a spot where we really look at the core piece of the AMS and what it can do extremely well in terms of member management. And then what are the other technology solutions that maybe can bolt on and connect to it to really solve community, learning, whatever those components may be for the association. And so the speed there for us is really important. And then the ability to, we have a centralized operations team for our association management clients, and their ability then to say, great, we are using this over here in this client and it's working really well, we should try it over here for another client, is just a huge asset. And I will say that within that digital transformation, I think the collective culture of it's okay to try things, and if it doesn't work, we will adjust, right? The ability to manage a board's expectations around we're putting something in place and we're going to see how it works, and if it doesn't work, we're going to rethink it and move in a different direction. And then the ability for a team to be more nimble in that same way is one of the trends that we are seeing. And I think it's really helpful and healthy for organizations that do need to be nimble in how they work. Certainly AI, I mean, you feel like you can't say technology without AI. It is just a massive part of the way we work, not just in terms of all of the components that allow us to be more efficient in our work, which is great. I mean, I feel like every talent that has worked in an AMC has felt like they've carried 2 to 3 full-time jobs when they're working for 2 to 3 clients at a time, right? So anything that has the ability to allow them to create ideas faster, get structural components in place faster, communicate with better clarity, I mean, amazing in terms of that. But for us, we're also then looking at how do we start to use AI in a more agentic focused way, right? So what does that mean for customer service, and how will that change things within our association clients? moving forward, where and how can we test and learn in those places? And then are there other really industry-specific solutions that AI can solve for within an individual client based on who their members are, what their community is, and what they need to solve. Those are a few of the things that we are seeing in our world.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with all of that. I'm curious, how many people have an AI council or an AI initiative at your AMC? Is that, yeah. So it's, I've been an advocate of AI for a very long time, and my teammates are very sick of me talking about it, but we developed this AI council, and I truly believe it is going to transform the way that we do our jobs, especially our program managers, meeting planners, and associates. The administrative part, it will absolutely transform it, and is already starting to. It's going to transform the way that we hire. We're going to be looking for people with high digital IQ, and we're going to be training people with high digital IQ for that. People have to be open to this technology and experiment and fail and be okay to fail. And, there's a lot of things culturally that we're going to have to do in our firms. So, our AI council kind of divided into 4 different efforts. And one of them is this efficiency work group, and we did a poll, and we did the survey to all of our employees. We work on 72 different software programs. 72. We're only running 30 groups, and there's 60 people, and we're at 72 different platforms. So of course we want to look at that and say, okay, let's try and streamline this as best we can and really commit to some things. We do Monday.com across the board for project management. That's been a huge success, great. And we use Canva in marketing, but the marketing needs are going to be very different than the meeting planning. And so we're just looking at this whole landscape of how all of this is going to change the way we work. We're really being strategic about our partners. And I'm not being paid to say this, but Higher Logic, to me, has done the most incredible job of their AI strategy. And I was just at their user group meeting a few months ago, and when you talk about agentive AI, they are all in on that. And one of their largest customers is IBM, and they have an entire, of course they're on AI and security and all those things, but where Higher Logic sees this going, and I totally agree with it, is that they're gonna have this ecosystem of technologies. So there's the LMS, the AMS, and it doesn't matter what platform you're on, they're gonna have all of these connectors. The community is the core that ties to your member data. Well, they want a member to be able to come in and say, oh, I need a webinar on this, this part of the industry or the job I do. So it's gonna pull up, oh, well, there was a webinar back in October, but you know what? There's a program at our upcoming conference that's doing it, and there's another webinar in the fall. Can I register you for one of these? And you say, yeah, and it registers you. It knows who you are, it knows what you're interested in, it follows that path and actually does some of the work for you. So that is huge in terms of how members are gonna interact with our systems. So keep your eye on them and technologies like that are really, doing smart things with AI and keeping it locked down security-wise as well.
Yes.
We just did a survey for one of our clients on AI and how the members felt about it, and whether they wanted, if they were okay with people having AI bots in meetings that are sending out notes. And the results are interesting. And there's a lot of fear and a lot of, I wouldn't say anger, but almost about it. So I'm curious how you think members would feel when they have somebody saying, do you want to register for this? Mm-hmm. After putting a post on a community that they think only people are looking at.
Yeah, it's a big, the chair of AMC Institute actually did an addendum to her contract with every single client and had them sign this. They were very transparent. These are the tools we use AI in our company, this is how we use it. And they had them sign the addendum, and all of her clients did it except one. And the one is watching and seeing what's happening, and she said, probably a year from now they'll sign and they'll be okay with it. But people are on all different journeys, but we are all using AI every day. I mean, it is a part of our lives. And I think it's just gonna take some time for people to understand that. But they, I do think you have to be very transparent. This is what we use, this is how we use it, here's how we log it down. There's policies in place for every committee meeting that has an AI bot that's taking minutes and doing action items. That file is deleted immediately after we have our action item and notes. There's things that you can put in place to kind of help them through it, because you have to balance, the efficiency side versus the fear.
Right.
I will also just add to that I love thinking about what our role is with AI, and that our role is often the wisdom role, right? That AI can help us with efficiency and can help us get to solutions faster, but it still takes a human to bring the wisdom to play, to ensure that something is accurate, to ensure something is true. And so I think that also, as you're taking somebody, whoever that stakeholder is, through a journey of trying to get them more comfortable with where and how AI is going to be used, also really helping them understand what the human role still is and the human responsibility is. I think that goes for talent and workforce as well, to continue to bring people along. Now, I have heard of other groups that are very much like, you are either getting on this AI journey with us or you're not. If the threat feels that big, right? And I don't know if that's really where we are, but I think in some cases, people are very much like, get on board. This is how work is going to operate moving forward, or not. And I will also just say that I think there are some great AI learning resources out there. I'm really impressed with a lot of work that Sidecar does. I listen to their podcast a lot. I think it gives good, interesting ideas and perspectives sometimes as we're thinking through AI use for associations.
I saw a question right there.
Yeah, are there any guidance documents that are currently out there regarding the use of AI in that can be shared? Are you aware of that yet?
Yeah, we have one. We wrote an AI guide for associations that's downloadable on our site. And we also have a link to our guiding principles, policies and procedures on AI. Happy to share it with this group. We can do that with
Thank you.
the handout or something. But yeah,
Yeah, I think what I've heard from some of our members is that a lot of AMCs or like Bostrom are adopting their own, but they've run it through legal and trying to get some real meat on the bones around it. And like everything else with AI, it's going to be an ever-evolving document. But you have to start somewhere. And I think that's a great way to go about it. Yeah. And I know a lot of our AMC members are sharing those documents, so we'll be happy to share. So let's go on to trend 2. Our lovely members. How we love our members. So it seems right now that member expectations are fragmented and hyper-personalized. I think that's a pretty accurate statement right now. So meeting member expectations seem to be so much harder than it once was. Jeannie, why don't we start with you on how you're addressing some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I talked a little bit about it with AMCI's digital marketing initiative. We are doing a lot of the basics of persona development, right? Just the very basics, just really putting personas together on the membership, whether it's career path, career levels, what their participation is in the industry, are there verticals within the industry, really understanding who these members are and what their wants and needs are. And, this doesn't have to be this huge, focus group, 40K consulting kind of thing. It really, get a couple of groups together, get some different members together and have the conversation with them. You can do surveys and things like that, but really build out that persona. And then what is their customer journey with the association? How do they hear about it? What conferences are they going to? What competitors might they be looking at? What do they read? And this is really defining how you're following a member through the entire journey of learning about the association, being a part of the association, getting truly engaged, and becoming a leader within that association. So understanding those paths, I think, helps from a marketing and membership perspective to build some personalized messaging. And again, AI has been a wonderful tool for this in terms of building campaigns, automated campaigns. How are we speaking to these different personas in different ways and letting them know that the association knows who they are and what they need when they need it.
Yeah, I will say that I think the other place that personalization just has such an opportunity is that we see in our association clients growth in a lot of their education-based revenue. And I often find that education is a place where you can really start to drill into a persona and then what somebody wants to be able to learn or what they may want to learn next. And I see AMCI do it even with their educational offerings, right? So to be able to take a product within your educational platform and say, well, great, let's look at the people that registered for this event or this product, and then let's think about what we start to take them on next. It can be one easy step to start to build out kind of a persona plan for them, and then also to take them on a journey to put other products, resources, events in front of them that could be a good fit. I think the days are long gone though, where you can just speak to your entire membership in one voice, in one way all the time. And personalization can be so many things. It could be the subject line that you're using in an email. It could be the first 2 lines in an email marketing message, but the rest of the pieces maybe are very much the same from audience to audience. But like your ability just to do a few places of customization is so important. You had referenced yesterday an email that your colleague had received from VSAE that actually referenced them as an AMCI as part of that.
Yeah.
Which was just an interesting place of somebody actually like acknowledging.
Yeah, he's like, hey, ASAE finally knows I'm with an AMC and what an AMC is.
So I think that is great. And so I just think there's a huge opportunity there if we're not doing it or to accelerate it. And education is a really easy place to build that. And then the last piece of that is like make sure you've got somebody, whether it's you or somebody else in your team, that really loves the data side of digital marketing, right? Because your ability then to look quickly at a comparative of open rates or engagement rates or action and activity, I think it's just like good fuel to keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So trend 3, and we've touched on it just a tinge in some of these other conversations, but so workforce disruption and talent scarcity are changing operational models. That is across the board. Every conference I sit in, no matter where I am, whether it's hotels, airlines, a lot of the industries that feed us, and associations, corporations, and AMCs, we're all feeling that. So I know we constantly hear about workforce scarcity and disruption, and so what are your AMCs experiencing, and what are some things you're doing to minimize these issues, if there are things? Because I think it is a all-encompassing issue.
Yeah, and there are, I mean, workforce is probably one of, if you like rank my top 3 things I love, like this is one of the topic areas that I have a lot of interest and passion around. So, right, within our AMC, we do have a lot of talent that touches more than one client, right? And for us, it's a few things, right? It is often filling the client's need because maybe they don't need, right, a total full talent in one area, right? So our ability to have a talent that can touch more than one client is a huge additive. But I think what it really does for the talent is to start to acclimate quickly to a multi-client environment. I find that their learning curve is so much faster, right? When you are working on multiple clients, the amount of experience that you gain is just exponential, right? Because you've lived different types of scenarios or different types of board leaders or different types of memberships. And so for that, it's been really important. And then continuing to really build in education for team and talent. And for us, some of that's education that we provide internally through our learning management system for team and talent. And then some of it is external training. AMCI actually has a really large suite of education that is a great place for us to be able to take team and talent to. And it's everything from your EQ and developing that to very specific programs around finance or marketing or certification, right? So if you have somebody who comes in as a coordinator, they don't know all things, right? But they've got to be able to build those skills and knowledge And so those types of resources have been massive. I find that talent wants to feel like they are being invested in some way, shape, or form, right? And so to be able to set the expectations of a learning environment, to continue to put great content in front of them so they can learn and grow, I ultimately find benefits our clients at the end of the day. And then one of the last things I've been thinking about and reading about lately is, we talk a lot about intelligence and emotional intelligence, and there's a business speaker that's out there that's talking a lot about your AQ, your adaptability quotient. And so when you think about skill sets moving forward that talent may need, the ability for somebody to have a high AQ, right? But the ability to adapt quickly to their environment, their technology, the things around them, to learn something, unlearn something, relearn it in a new way is a skill set that we should be looking for in the workforce. And I don't think that every young talent who's entering an association career, right, like that you're like, so what's your AQ? They're not going to know that. But I do think that you can find people who are inherently curious, who tend to ask a lot of questions, who thrive with knowledge, who don't get too fixed or stuck in one thing for a very long period of time. And I think that those skill sets will continue to serve associations and AMCs very well moving forward.
Oh, great, I just learned a bunch right there. So, the only thing I would add on to that is what we've done is, at Bostrom, we just revamped our entire career path. So and our onboarding, we have found that within the first 30 days, the staff, the new hires that don't make it are the ones that can't do multi-client. They cannot adapt. That clearly and quickly we find they can. Now, if we can assess that before they come in the door, even better. But so we've kind of, retooled our onboarding. So we're addressing that more. We're giving them the tools that they need and really getting an understanding of what this environment's all about. And then we did all different levels of titles and transparent salaries. In Illinois, you have to publish a salary band. So every employee of our firm has to know that an associate makes this range, a senior associate this range, and these young professionals coming in the door, they want to know their path. They want to know it and how fast they can get through it. So we built some layers and, put the bands in and are completely transparent, and it's a little different culturally for the leaders of our firm to kind of grasp that, but it really has done a wonderful job of keeping some of our younger talent there and thriving and growing. So yeah.
I can definitely see where that would be a momentum builder for the
Right, steps. They
Sure.
want to know the
Of
steps.
course.
Yep.
So trend number 4. Non-dues revenue and business model innovation are a strategic imperative moving forward. I think we all know that. I know at AMCI we talk a lot about this ourselves as our own association, and we hear many of our members. So many AMCs, and this is associations as well, they're leaning heavily on the usual revenue streams, your dues, your meetings, along with the standard business model that we're using. Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know how I'm gonna look at this, depending on the creativity we wanna put behind it, but these common revenue streams seem to be becoming a little bit less reliable, we're needing a little bit more of a bump up from just thinking there, we have to think outside the box. So what are some strategies you two are seeing with your AMCs to address these challenges?
So for us at MCI, we continue to see places where we really have to have some diversification beyond member dues for meetings to support the revenue growth. So there are a few things. We see significantly more education that is being delivered and a lot more thought around the pricing and product structure for education. We're seeing the need to stand up educational products faster. AI has been an asset in that way, the ability to stand up a course and roll it out, right? Something that used to take a lot of time and a lot of volunteer time really can move so much faster to be able to meet a need within the market. We see places where our associations are really leaning in on the right kinds of strategic partnerships for them. It could be a wide variety of things based on who the association is and what their client is, or what their members are. But one example is we've got an association that is a subspecialty within a larger, broader association. I'm sure that happens a lot. But they have worked with another larger umbrella organization, and they've actually set up a membership piece where you can go and join Association A and then their Association B all at the same time within a single registration experience. And it has brought them, on average, about 5 new member registrations a week, just by having that relationship in place, the willingness to, they're not competitors, they ultimately deliver content for different parts of their market, but it just makes it easy for people to do those things. So being creative about the relationships that are built, and I think there's a lot of drive that has to come from the executive directors to be able to make some of that happen. And so I think the other part of that is like, what are the executive directors and managing directors and CEOs of the associations we manage doing to really be thoughtful and creative? We are working to get those individuals together more frequently to be able to do some of that idea sharing, to be able to say, hey, we did this here, can it translate somewhere else as a part of your business? And then one other resource that I would put out there and consider for anybody who's working within an AMC environment and on AMC client work, there's a group out there called Professionals for Association Revenue. And they have a lot of resources when it comes to thinking about revenue outside of some of the standard buckets that can be developed for an association. So their podcast the other week just had a piece where an association ultimately decided to get rid of their exhibits as a part of their event experience. They had a bunch of reasons that they made that change. But then they really focused on a better net revenue for them by having other offerings.
That's a great one. I think looking at pricing models, just going through that exercise is a great one. On the consulting side, sometimes we do the business model canvas, where you can just really blow up your business model and really look for different areas of growth and new audiences. So on the consulting side, we do that for our clients. I'm also seeing there are 2 groups that we have right now. One is revamping their entire certification process, job task analysis, to really diving into that and probably going to create a few more certifications out of that. I think those are going to be still remain very, very valuable. I think people are going to want to get certified, want career paths, and go to associations for that. And we have another group that's building from the ground up a new certification program. So there are traditional things out there that are still really, really relevant. And then the global expansion, really there are opportunities out there that I think boards have been reluctant to try, at least in some of our groups. And so I think that's always on the table. Like, is there a market for an international meeting? And the time may be right to do something internationally for an association client that they've never done before, that can create a new audience for them in a very localized manner. So, yeah.
Building onto the international piece, I will say that we've seen within a few of our clients where they have had meetings that traditionally have been in the US with an international audience that travels in, think many of the scientific types of organizations. Those organizations, right, they're really being hit hard in terms of their registrations within their US-based events. And so a few of them are revisiting the feasibility of standing up an event in Europe that is the right size for them to be able to meet that member need, because they really don't think that they're going to, they can't solve the challenge of getting those people to travel into the US right now, and they don't know when that will change.
Yes.
Quick note on that, since I know a lot of our state association-wise, we've seen a lot of groups shrinking that down to like region.
Yeah.
Virginia, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, sort of mid-Atlantic or southeast. Like, I think that's something to think about as well. Is, do you have that relationship, one, with your counterparts, because they may be a captive. Your Virginia associations and AMC, they may be a captive. So I think to that point is even on the smaller level, we're seeing the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't, maybe a little bit of a different direction, but I was curious, out of this group, who has effectively managed dues recalculation or examining what dues are as part of this broader revenue discussion? Because there was a big burst in talent cost. I mean, a lot of incoming young talent, they were asking for a lot more over the past few years than what historically they've gotten. There's expenses that have increased, hotels, F&B, other things. So in this group, I'm curious, are people consistently increasing dues alongside those trends, or is that still a difficult conversation and it's navigated on a case-by-case basis?
Well, we definitely have to poll the audience here to see, is anybody having these conversations about dues increases? As are we in AMCI, sorry guys. But, you know, it's a slippery slope because, you know, the market can only bear so much within your membership, but yet the costs are escalating, to your point. But I think you're not doing your association, you're doing it a disservice if you're not at least doing some research around this, maybe putting a committee or a task force together to really think this through and see, you know, are there just bands you can tweak? Are there, you know, huge steps you can take? I mean, how long has it been since you've had a dues increase? You know, all these questions that you could get some key leadership and membership that's really, it's at the heart of it. We try to put a little bit of different size members involved in one of these task forces so that we're hearing the pain from each level of members. But you have right now, you have to look at it. You have to look at it and find out if there's any tweaking you can do. And I mean, I don't know what you two would add to that. And the next question is gonna drill down a little bit more about meetings specifically, but, is there anything you two wanna add about dues increases?
Yeah, we've, about 65% of our clients have increased dues in the last 3 years. And I would say 4 of our clients have done an incremental increase for the next 10 years. So they are, you know, you have to, everyone's costs are going up. And so they really want, and there's a whole communication plan that went with that to say, you know, everyone is feeling this is what your association brings, you know, we are gonna have some scaled increases over the next few years. Now, some of that has been paired with strategies for free student membership. Some of it has been, you know, some tiers that are a little different for, whether it's an international global chapter or young professionals. So there's a strategy involved in it, but we really made a huge effort to do that. And then I will say on the contract side of things, for the first time, we had contracts that were in place since like 1997. We have redone our contracts with every single client, and we now will do new scope addendums, because that's the way in to have the conversation about, this is the value of our services, this is how we fit into your budget, we can sell again our, you know, our value, and then really have a true partnership and conversation about costs and what we need to be a good partner and what we need from them.
I was just gonna have one client who, when we started this during COVID, if they paid for, we offered them a 2-year membership, and they got a discount on the second year, that they paid for the 2 years upfront.
Yeah.
And it's been really helpful.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
The one other thing I put in the membership category is that we do have a few clients that are looking at the legacy cost of retired members within their organization. And really, it's been hard in many cases to get boards to really understand. It's not an item that a board wants to go after, quite frankly. But those structures are carrying a lot of financial obligation with them that are weighing down organizations that need to have a lot more flexibility within their finances to make investments about their future relevancy. And so it's just another portion of that picture that we've been looking at for some of our clients.
Well, and one thing that we did at the Institute, per the outcome of our membership dues task force, which, as I said, was made up of small, medium, large, and extra large members. was because there were some huge gaps in the time that had gone by between dues increases. And then you're like gasping because you haven't had one in 10 years or 7 years. So the task force came up with the concept of every year we do a 3% increase across the board. And all the members of all sizes said that's palatable. We can accept that, we can do that. And so that's helping us. We implemented this 2 years ago at their recommendation, and it's really helped us stay a little bit, so it's just things like that you can try to implement that aren't too difficult for the members to swallow. It's something they can digest, is helpful in just trying to stay ahead of it a little bit. So that's another thing I would offer.
I was just gonna say, our association has implemented the same, policy. We increase dues, membership dues, and also event registration at 5 to 7% every year or every event, and have never gotten any pushback. One thing that is interesting now is, as the event registration has increased, we have at times had to raise it more than 5 to 7%. And it was a little bit of a hard sell. I know this sounds really simple and sort of silly, but we researched the cost of a gallon of coffee at an event over the last 10 years. And the cost, as you all know in this room, the cost of a gallon of coffee is ridiculous. And it is astronomically high now, so please enjoy. And I tell you what, beyond F&B and space, venue, space, we had a chart and it showed, and I'll tell you what, everybody was on board immediately. They were like, oh my God, well, coffee's expensive by all means. And we went to the heart of the, what really spoke to the group.
I think that's genius. I think that's genius, and what a simplified way to get the point across.
Yeah.
And no one wants to give up their coffee.
No one's giving it up, yeah.
I love that. So we have
About 2 minutes.
10 minutes. I think we can wrap up the last 3. So we talked a little bit in the previous trend about just cost effectiveness, things you're seeing on due streams, ways to do this. Let's drill it down just a little bit more and talk about one of our normal, and you just touched on it with the coffee, regular streams, which is our meetings. That's the mainstay revenue blood for almost every association client you have. And there's no doubt, to your point about the coffee again, we're seeing nothing but escalation in prices dramatically. 25, 30, 40% food and beverage, AV, you name it, across the board. In some ways, that sets the AMC model up for great success, because we can talk to our association clients about the fact that, we have buying power, we can bundle services, we can do these things that just the standalone associations can't do, that can help with this. But are there any other things that we're seeing that we're doing to leverage and try to combat these rising costs as it relates to meetings?
I'll just add in a few quickly. So I had mentioned earlier, right, organization that decides to get rid of their exhibit hall. Again, that's not going to make sense for everybody, but maybe for some. And they did it partially because of the cost structure that drives behind the exhibit hall and the net revenue that they were able to see. I think the other thing that's really important is, right, obviously just incredibly strong partnerships with your venue that you are working with. I find that they do want to be a partner to you and help you in as many ways, so that can help with menu planning and menu planning costs. And then I think the last piece about that is actually getting kind of creative in terms of what event venues look like. We have a few clients that are able to find organizations that tie into their industry in kind of a unique way and leverage those event locations, and that helps to give them more flexibility. One example is we've got an organization, they do a lot of hands-on training. They need a pretty large environment for their conference, and they end up moved into a university setting over the summer months, and that was a really great way for them to meet the needs of the physical space. They were able to find a university that was already kind of tied into their organization, and for them it was a great way to combat some of that. But I don't see event costs coming down anytime soon. So having a really clear P&L, I think on each one of your events to understand what is making the organization money and what events are not making the organization money is important.
And with Loudoun County.
Yes, and with Visit Loudon, please reach out to your DMOs, your
Yes.
CVBs. We will help you
Yep.
find venues that are more cost effective. We may have an incentive for a certain time of year, certain patterns that we can help perhaps with transportation to take care of a little bit of helping the cost of coffee. So please reach out, that's what we're there for, we're there to help
And
you.
how much are your services?
Free!
Oh.
No charge, like a library, it's a free library, free.
It is true, that's the best place to start is with your DMO, and then you
Yeah.
go from there.
Yeah. And you have good data too.
Yes,
Sometimes
we
there's
do.
some wonderful
Yes.
research coming out that will help tell the story and, revisit pricing and everything. No.
Okay, moving along here. We're at rapid pace now. 2 questions to go, 2 trends to go. So, external forces, politics, DEI, ESG, global shocks require adaptive governance. And what I can say about that is governance is harder and harder and harder these years. In the last 18 months, I would say we've seen tons of disruption from the board, angst among the board. So it's a lot to deal with, and I think it's some of the pressures they're feeling from all of these things. So let's see how we're handling that.
Yeah, so, interesting times indeed. We've had, clients with divisive boards that after 17 years leave us. I mean, AMC's, it's this world of disruption and a little bit of chaos can hurt your business. So, what we've been trying to do with our boards is, I am a huge fan of Simon Sinek and getting back to why. And when we find there's disruption in the industry and the profession and the board, we really try to do some training and do some sessions and make them fun and interactive, but getting back to their why. If we can just have the conversation about why does this association exist and the value that it offers, and really talk about, what they should be thinking about. And yes, there's a lot of things going on in the environment. We do pestle analysis with them, we do SWOT analysis, but getting to the heart of who they are as an association. We've had 2 groups that changed their mission because they transformed so much that they really needed to be a different association. And then we've had others where we really did kind of quiet the noise down and get them back to what's their reason for being, and really focus on the value that they deliver. So those tools are always good for these conversations that get out of control. The chair and the president of our association clients need training, right? They need to understand how to facilitate and be there with our account executive to support each other and help during these conversations. When do you pull somebody out and have a peer-to-peer discussion with them? The techniques, even breathing techniques, things like that are really, really key these days. So those are some of the techniques that we're using.
Just 2 adds in there. I think in addition to the training for your board chair and your chair-elect, I think treasurer training is really important. We have some places that we are doing more of that. And so that seems to be a good investment of time of a key leader who often is in some sort of succession planning to really feel more grounded and confident in the finances of the organization. And then similarly, we've done exercises with boards that are a little bit around the why, and those have been successful because it's where volunteer leaders tend to have the most energy.
Jeannie, you touched a little bit on this 7th trend in your comments, but basically, it's no joke that associations are rethinking their purpose and their value proposition. That is happening because they're just trying to deal with everything that's hitting them. So they're stepping back and going, are we the association we need to be? Should we still be doing the same things we've been doing? And so, as they're starting to do this, are you trying to steer them toward thinking about this? What are some things that you do?
this is where design thinking comes into play, and the art of becoming creative and thinking about an organization in a different way. So we really have had a lot of fun with value proposition workshops and getting back to why and getting them out of their heads a little bit we have Lego exercises, we do creative drawing things, just, get a board together and get them out of their day-to-day and the business of the association, and really start to think about the value proposition. How do they articulate that? How are they delivering value in different creative ways? And do they need to talk about the organization entirely differently or in a new light? So they're fun sessions and everything. And even if it's a small part of your board agenda, to do something like that really helps. It really helps them team build and think differently.
We've done it even as a kind of a 2-hour exercise, something similar, with a board. And I will say that AI can actually really help to facilitate some of the work that comes around with that, and to capture that piece is amazing. But then the other piece of that is to actually walk away with some new product ideas or member benefits. Like, we ultimately always get something else that is tangible for us to take forward for the organization.
So we're out of time, but is there any questions or anything? Yes, back.
Sorry, I just had a quick question. So Virginia is being a Lego factory. So a lot of Virginia-based boards are very excited about this opportunity to get funding from Lego. And you mentioned the Lego trainings. I've done some that weren't quite a good fit for a board. They were more like getting like your coworkers together and like the space that you work in. And I was just kind of curious what Lego type trainings you've done with boards and if they really did make an impact.
Yeah, we did some, there's a couple of exercises that we did. We broke the board up into groups of, teams of 4, depending on how big the board is, what you can do, 3 or whatever. And we had a structure already built. One person from the team had to come and look at the structure, and then they couldn't look at it again. So they had to really study it. They had to go back to their team and they had to describe it. And the team had to build it with the same amount of Legos. They loved it. I mean, they were all competitive about it. They all got prizes and a picture and went on social afterwards. But it was a great team building exercise in communication. And the Lego part of it just got the other side of their brain thinking and working. And so it was a great level set for strategy that they had to do.
I haven't heard of that before, so that's fun.
Yeah, it was a really
like
fun
cards,
one.
they pick cards, and the cards meant certain things about your personality and how you worked, and it was, like built a duck and
Yeah.
things like that. So there's lots of them out there.
A tower, we did that tower one.
There's one for like land development and building your own little city and
Yeah, it's fun.
More creative ways to engage. So thank you all so much for everything. These 7 trends are not, as we know, the only trends affecting the association community in our AMC world, but there's certainly ones rising to the top that we're hearing from a lot of our AMCs out there dealing with their association clients. So we have this hard copy takeaway sheet that we're going to pass out, but we're going to send an electronic version, and we're going to update it with the AI guide and a couple of other links that we don't have on this that have come up today. And so that'll be coming as well. But Anita's got the hard copies and she can pass them out.
It's
if
on
you
the
want
table
them.
in the back.
Oh, they're on the table
Yep,
in the
just
back.
grab them.
And that's again, just really appreciate your time, and hopefully we shared some insights that are helpful. And I would usually have them have a wrap-up comment, but we're out of time, so